Welcome in. This is Levi.
I'm Jacoby.
And I'm Joe.
And this is the Thought Vessel Show. Let's jump right in.
So, have you ever dealt with somebody just like touching your stuff unwarranted and without your permission?
A few times, but most of my experience is from a third-person view.
For me, I definitely had an experience in college that this is probably the single-handedly most annoyed I've ever been. And it wasn't just a matter of like what happened. It's just the level of maturity that the person did not show in the situation. And so I was in college at the time. During the time I wasn't playing Magic. I was playing HeroClix. So I had a lot of HeroClix kind of on display on my desk because I was trying to compete and go to the professional level with it. You know, kind of having fun as kind of a hobby amongst my studies.
A spike continues to spike.
Iowa State champion to you, sir.
A spike continues to spike.
I don't know, man. That authority sounds like it deserves some respect.
For the two people that might understand this, shout out to Iron Pharaoh.
My man.
Now, with that being said, so this person, she was like a girlfriend of someone in our friend group. I don't know if she'd been drinking, but she thought it would be fun to like go into my room. And our closets were kind of like open. They didn't like close. So like I had a couple football jerseys in there and she was like putting them on and like just touching all of her stuff and like trying to do whatever she could to get a rise out of me. And for me, I'm like, you're 20 years old, you're in college, like you're supposed to be able to drink next year. You can legally vote. Like, why are you doing this like petty, immature nonsense that I would expect out of like maybe like an 8-year-old?
Petty is as petty does.
I would be more petty than that person is, but probably not in that way.
So I, did my best to kind of keep restrained, but yeah, I definitely wanted to just throw that person out the door physically.
For me, I was in fact the weird kid in school, which meant bullying. I had a whole bunch of people touch my stuff because it was keep away time. And oh boy, did that just really irk me, but also made me very sad because bullying is sad. Don't bully people. Please
Agreed.
don't.
Unfortunately for me, I never had to deal with the keep away game. I broke too many fingers on people to have to play that game. I moved too many schools. My own story, like I said, it's third person though, was I was at a contest for a Warhammer thing. And as anyone knows, if anyone plays Warhammer, miniatures are very, very expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Very time consuming pieces of artwork.
Mm-hmm.
It's a display of both elitism and everything else. We get to my friend. He is participating. He's got all of this stuff and just people go, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And just start grabbing miniatures and picking them up to look at them, not realizing that they're made of this really fragile plastic.
Well, not even just that, but if they're in a tournament setting.
Yeah, what was it in game?
This was this was a break. This is some, I think, maybe 12-year-old kid who just doesn't know better.
Okay.
But they rolled up after a parent I audibly heard said, whatever you do, sweetie, don't touch this stuff. Roll up, pick up the miniatures and go, oh my gosh, snapped the arms off of one by mistake.
Oh, damn.
That sucks.
It was, and I remember to this day, because I was more into Warhammer at the time, this was a Necron unit, which is why it broke so quickly.
Yeah.
They're these spindly robot things. That's all you really need to know. They're really twig-like. So if you pick them up wrong, they just shatter.
Robot mummies.
Yeah, robot mummies. And the kid just went like, oh my gosh. And then set it back down, went back to their parents, did not try to figure out whose it was.
So this guy just came back and
one of his
armless.
One of his dudes was armless, gunless, and missing a toe. A leg, a foot.
You could say that model was disarmed.
Ha 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 ha. That model.
I'm mad that I'm so proud of you right now. This is very conflicting emotions.
Yeah. The worrisome part is this model was what they call a Tazich or Tevish. So it's like at the time it was like an $80-$90 model.
The only Tevish I know is Tevish Zot.
Probably.
Boo.
It's not even a boo-worthy thing. That's just a fact.
Yeah. I could be mispronouncing it. Don't quote me. I am not the biggest Warhammer nerd. But yeah.
Man, if we had a comment section, you'd get lit up in there hard right now.
They would be like, sir, his name is blah, blah, blah. His name is pronounced and spelled exactly like this. You don't know who you're talking about. And absolutely, you're correct. I don't.
Look, there's only one thing I know of Warhammer 40K, and that is Daka. Daka, 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 wah.
Also, you messed that up. It's with a strong A. Daka. With a Daka. Even I know that. I'm not that fucking informed.
I have said that to so many people, and you were the first to correct me.
Maybe I'm wrong then. But every time I've talked to someone like anyone playing the orcs, they emphasize the A. They go Daka. Like they scream Daka 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 Daka, but just with more in it.
I'm getting an encyclopedia vibes with that one.
Hold on. Let's put the correct character. This is how it would be linguistically. It's like that one TikTok that I saw that someone was deconstructing how you would put the words for wah.
You know, just for the fun of it, everyone who listens in on any comment section, please scream "wah" at the top of your enunciation. See how many people are paying attention.
I don't think they would know about that from the show because we never actually put that in. But hey, fair enough.
Well, now we got to lead into the "Am I the arch enemy?" story. So, am I being a bad sport? Am I the arch enemy? Magic the Gathering edition. Genuine question because I feel like I am not in the wrong here, but I most definitely may be from someone else's point of view. I am a relatively bad deck builder / EDH player, which leads me to more often than not lose. But I enjoy playing my decks because they are what I've built. I don't have any combos or anything like that, but I do have a lot of money cards in my decks. I am an adult with a good job and decent disposable income to spend on fancy cards, so I've taken to putting some cash into my decks.
Weird flex, but okay.
Foil Urza, Gaia's Cradle, Expedition Fetches, Lotto God cards from HOD. Which one was HOD?
Hour of Devastation.
Hour of Devastation, thank you. You get the idea. Anyway, last week a new person showed up with a deck that basically looks through my deck every time he attacks. Can't remember the name. Take control of my stuff and basically stop me from playing. That sounds like Thada Adel.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he's talking about there.
Yeah, because every attack and search through it, somebody's deck.
He's got to connect to do that, but yeah, that's fair.
I completely understand this is a way people enjoy playing, but I cannot stand someone else touching my cards. I've spent good money on them, and frankly, I wouldn't let someone hold $200 to $300 of my money, or in this case, in the thousands, and really don't like it. Not because I think they'll steal it, but just because I don't like it. I don't know if the guy's recently been picking his nose, scratching his junk, didn't wash his hands after the bathroom, whatever. I eventually had enough of him denying everything I did and taking all my cards there for almost 2.5 hours while this guy dirtled through my deck and I didn't get to play my commander once. And honestly, it made for a super shitty experience. I want to be clear. I didn't think he was going to steal anything or anything silly like that, and he was a super nice guy. I just really did not enjoy that play experience and told him to stop handling my cards like he handles his own, snapping them down, etc. Again, he was nice enough about it, but I just don't like other people touching my shit. Am I wrong to not want to play against this guy / deck again? Some of my buddies think I'm overreacting, but I really don't think I am and don't even want to go to the shop to jam tonight because I'm going to be that dick if I just scoop or don't want to play with him. So, am I the arch enemy?
We may have a conflict of interests here.
I know. I may need to recuse myself as the Resident Thief player because I, in fact, liked touching people's stuff, but with their consent.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing we don't get elaborated here is, for one, the guy that you're talking about, you don't mention if he elicits consent before touching your stuff. So that's a big factor. If this guy is just going, I play this thing and reaches and just goes to grab whatever he's going to grab, it's a very different feeling of whether you are a jerk or not versus him going, I play this card. May I please see your deck? And like offers to ask and not do all this other stuff.
But the other side of that is that was a 2.5 hour game that you are stealing things out of people's decks and you're not winning?
Or at least multiple sessions. We never really got a definitive answer. It might have been multiple games.
Yeah, that's also a possibility. It just seemed like it was like the one game.
The other thing is he did inform us that the gentleman was being nice about it. So he wasn't like outwardly rude, like, give me your stuff. So at least there's that.
So this is kind of a weird situation for me because this isn't necessarily a clear-cut, just a manners thing, because he's technically playing a card, which at this point we're assuming is Thada Adel, that says, by the rules of the game, I'm now going to touch your stuff and take one thing from your stuff. That is how the game is supposed to operate at that point. And it's kind of awkward to go through a different procedure like, okay, I'll pull out all the artifacts in the deck and maybe fan them out and you can pick one from there. Or like there's other ways you can do that. During like COVID times, we kind of had to adapt it a little bit with that as well, just because we didn't know necessarily how it was spreading and hand to hands and stuff like that. But so it's a weird kind of middle ground where I can kind of see like, okay, the rules of the game dictate that is what's supposed to happen. And correct procedures. It seems he was being nice about it. I don't necessarily think anyone's the arch enemy here.
I can see that. I can also see just possibly just being a little bit of an asshole by just immediately going and saying that this guy is unclean, because that was one of the main points. It wasn't so much that he didn't trust him for holding $200 to $300. He did say, "Hey, don't handle my cards in a very specific way" when he was touching them, but specifically noted on the didn't know if he picked his nose, didn't know if he scratched his balls, didn't know if he washed his hands the last time he went to the bathroom.
I don't necessarily agree with that. It's not so much that he thinks someone is doing that. It's the issue that he doesn't know. He can't, like, the only way to really assure yourself is to ask. And that is kind of equally as unpolite as not knowing.
Before I hand you my deck, when was the last time you washed your hands?
Can I see your deck? Have you touched your balls today?
I mean, seriously, though, like, if I hand you my Gaia's Cradle, if I have a Gaia's Cradle that's $2,000+, and you're like fiddling with it, I would wonder the same thing. If you've gone to the bathroom in the last 2 seconds and then came back and touched your hands all over my stuff, which, granted, that's a leap. I'm just saying. It makes sense.
Not gonna lie, I immediately thought of fucking Letterkenny. Square up, you thunk. Give your balls a tug.
Because, like, the guy's describing a foil, or he's describing Gaia's Cradle, the super crazy fetches, blah, blah, blah. Like, actually relatively expensive stuff that's worth a lot of money. All of this sounds like 3 to 4 digit number cards.
So, and I might be reading in this too much. I'm kind of like trying to read between the lines on this, because anytime we have one of these stories, there's writer's side, there's the potential archenemy side, and there's the truth.
Yeah.
Kind of in between.
Very Rashomon.
This guy, kind of went out and said like, oh, I make a lot of money. I put a lot of money into my decks because I have all this extra income. This person touching my stuff, he might not be clean. Like, it's written in a very kind of like elitist way where I'm wondering if he like wasn't talking down to the person. Because I think intent or like tone is going to make a big difference on this conversation.
Though at the same time, he humbled himself by saying that he isn't good at the game, which is why he loses a lot of the time.
I think the issue is that he's probably from a higher end on life. He's got a good job, a good house, all that stuff. So he's used to having things exactly a certain way. And this is just one of those scenarios where interacting with other people, you can't really, it's not Burger King. You don't always get it your way.
Yeah.
That is magic.
People.
You can have a good job and be bad at magic.
Yeah. Case in point. But I think that
points at self.
No, I pointed to the gentleman.
No, I was just pointing at myself. I don't know what you're doing.
However, I feel like if this gentleman, if you're listening, the answer is not that you need to discern how people treat your expensive cards as long as they're being polite and honest. The answer needs to be, we have the ability to double and triple sleeve cards now. They make specific sleeves from Dragon Shield for triple sleeving a deck. Yes, it's going to be bulky. Yes, you're going to have issues. But if you're going to worry about people being unclean, touching your stuff, that's the answer.
I thought the triple sleeve was a joke from the professor.
It was a joke from the professor. I own Dragon Shield made triple sleeved sleeves designed for triple sleeving. They exist. They are a thing now.
Jesus fucking Christ.
They're clear on the backside like the other Dragon Shield clears, but they're made so you can see the art. They're a real thing.
So like it can prevent scratches and it can prevent like water damage in case someone spills their beer, soda, whatever on the table. But like, especially like when you're flicking a card down and stuff, it's not going to help you against a bend.
And you can't really do too much about flicks. And at that point, I agree. Like, I don't like people flicking my cards a certain way. If they do the big thwack, I'm going to say something. Because at that point, if they're going to be polite at all and understand from my presentation, like, don't mess up my valuable stuff, and they choose to disregard me, no.
That's why, at least in CDH, because I play thieving decks in CDH, big fucking shock. And I am usually very careful with people's cards because they are not my own. Because people pay a lot of money for those. It's CDH. you want to be careful while still playing the rules of the game.
Yeah, if you can't respect my going, don't flick my Gaia's cradle hard, and you still do it, I may come over a table. That's one thing to be like, flick, and then I go, please don't do that, and you do it anyways. We have words.
For the listeners at home, make sure that you are being very cordial. Don't try to like really rough up somebody's deck when you're doing a search. Be very nice and move them to the side very gently. Fingertips. Fingertips are a must every time you are handling someone's card. If you are using your fingernails, you are wrong.
Correct. And despite my comment, we at the Thought Vessel do not promote table-to-table violence. Do not come across anyone swinging hands. It's a bad idea. You shouldn't do it.
Unless they started on you.
No, you should just get somebody. You should just get somebody, break up the fight, and then have them permanently removed.
I mean, if they're throwing hands, you're
I'm
self-defending
going to.
at that.
I'm going to throw hands back. Don't get me wrong. But
this
saying
is a do what I say, not what I do moment.
Correct.
Okay. But at the same time as well, when I, for example, like I have my car, I drive into work, park in the parking deck, go into the office. If I come out and I see someone like open the door and scratched up my paint a little bit, I'm going to be upset it happened, but like that runs the risk. I brought my car into a parking deck. Like you bring your deck into an LGS, like there is a risk that these things could happen. There is a risk that the cards could be stolen or they could get scratched up. Someone might spill a soda on the table. Like if you're that worried about your cards being damaged, like maybe you want to run a proxy in its place and keep it at home.
Proxy in its place, or if you really just want to show it off to people, spell table. Just play it online.
Yeah.
That you are not going to be having people touch your cards if you're playing it all online.
And especially from this guy's perspective, who does make a decent amount of money, we have options out there to get proxies of dang near anything. It's not that hard to find anymore. It used to be like a very like secretive thing where it's like, hey, you want to get some proxy? Some goblin opens up a sleeve and shows you like fancy Force of Wills.
You can get like whatever art or anything you want, really. It's kind of cool.
There's also just the thing, now that I've actually thought about it, you're playing with the cards in a deck. Even if nobody else is touching the cards, you still run the risk of them being damaged just from you handling them.
I think it feels different to have yourself hurt a card and then someone
if you're
else
in the driver's seat or somebody else. I get that.
If I have a Gaia, like I'll use Gaia's, we'll use a different card. If I had one and I crimped it in half, that's on me.
All right, so today we're going to be jumping into our penny for our Thought Vessel topic. This is coming fresh off of the announcements of Sheldon Menery's Secret Lair that is going to be coming out later in this upcoming month here. So there's multiple cards that was spoiled so far. So we had a really cool ink shield. There was a soul ring in there. There
was a soul ring?
Yeah, there was a soul ring with a William Shakespeare quote on it.
I actually didn't see the soul ring.
I did not either. I saw the other three cards.
Definitely look it up. It's pretty sweet.
Well, see, now I gotta. Continue as I look it up.
And there was, a greater good in there, although it was in a foreign language, was kind of strange. And then we had Sheldon as a commander from a reprint off of a Luxodon attacking people at random from his famous "You did this to yourself" deck. So a lot of really fun things there. But it got us thinking here at Thought Vessel Show, if we were to have a secret lair that is designed off of your playstyle or your cards that you like, looks like he found it.
Yeah.
I want that.
I told you.
And the quote, "From this day to the ending of the world, be we in it shall be remembered. We few, we happy few, we band of brothers. For he today that sheds his blood with me shall be my brother." William Shakespeare, Henry V.
I kind of want that for my special deck, my Clark Thrasios deck.
And it's a really, really beautiful. And then I think all of the proceeds are going to the American Cancer Society. It definitely, if you're in the market looking for some sweet cards, this is one I would definitely recommend getting. I'm hoping they just print to order on this so they can get as many people on this sale as possible because it's going for a charitable event. But we have no way to predict what Wizards is going to do here.
Oh, the Sheldon is Ruhan of the Fomori.
Yes, you did this to yourself, Commander.
I want to see it. I am super, super fan.
So it looks pretty sweet.
It's so sad that the ink shield can't go into that.
Yeah.
That was still a beautiful art, though, that he had.
Absolutely is. And then we're going to have another card coming out later that will have Sheldon on there. I'm hoping it's in a standard set, so there's more out there for people. But again, we'll see. But with that said, if we were going to create our own secret lairs, what cards would be on there? Who would like to start us off?
I think our host needs to start us off because, we go first a lot when these kind of things, and you usually follow up behind. Go first for a change.
That's fair. Take it away, Jacoby.
God damn it.
No. Proceed.
Fine. So for mine, I took more of the Post Malone route in which all the cards can be played in the same deck together versus kind of spread out from an eligibility standpoint. So the first one I have is one that I actually continue to need buy more and more of, and that is Lauren of the Third Path. For these who don't know, it is a 3-drop, which is 2 and a white legendary creature. When it comes into play, it's like a reclamation state, destroys target artifact or enchantment, and then it has an ability that taps, so lets you and an opponent draw a card. I really like this effect. One, being able to blink or just have a one-time removal of a problematic artifact or enchantment in play is really helpful. And then also, if you're in a more casual pod and there's a player that's falling behind or something, you can get them to draw a card and you can draw a card as well. It's going to enhance play experience, and I think it's just universally a really good card, and I find more and more uses all the time for it. The second one I have on here is Ristic Study, mainly to have an additional art for printing that is not just the one from Nielsen, and having some extra ones out there for more uses. And of course, I do play a lot of blue. Ristic Study goes in a lot of different decks. Next one for me is Dovin's Veto. Big fan of Planeswalkers. I do like counterspells. It is an Azorius counterspell. It cannot be countered itself. It just can't hit creatures. That is one I definitely use a lot, especially in my blue-white decks. One that I know Joe's going to absolutely love is going to be Brago King Eternal with a new super dope artwork that we can definitely go out there and be the helm of this commander deck because we absolutely love it.
They can hear my twitch with Brago.
Gotta love Brago. And the last one, I play a lot of legendary spells and legendary creatures, a lot of legendary type effects. So for mine, it would be Mox Amber, which is 0 mana rock, taps for only spells of a planeswalker or legendary creature you control for the colors. I think it's a really cool card. It'd be nice to get an extra artwork for it. So those would definitely be my 5.
Certainly fair. Do you want to go or do you want me to go, Jacoby?
Proceed.
I see. Well, mine doesn't have any strong value, but it certainly has cards that are intrinsic to who I am as a player, which is why the first card up, if you didn't know, it's my boy the book, Cody Vociferous Codex. For 3 mana, you get a 1/4 construct. You can't cast permanent spells, but you can tap 4, tap it, add all colors of magic, and then when you cast your next spell this turn, exile cards from the top of your library until you exile an instant or sorcery card with less mana value. Until the end of your turn, you may cast that card without paying its mana cost. Put each other card exiled this way on the bottom of your library in a random order. The nice pseudo cascade, because you don't need to cast it right then and there. But
actually, fun fact, they reworked the wording of Cascade to choose not to do the thing, unless you didn't forget.
I always thought that still worked that way because you could still just put it.
As of recently, you get to put it at the bottom.
Really? I swear you could have just done it that way anyway.
Possibly. I think it had something to do with discovery.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Continue.
And then the next card we have up is a Howling Mine. A nice 2-drop at the beginning of each player's draw step. If Howling Mine is untapped, that player draws an additional card. I love helping people out, and especially with constant effects so that we can just keep drawing more. After that, we have another draw effect. My favorite card in all of Magic, Teferi's Puzzle Box. We did already get a Secret Lair of this, but I want a different art as well, because that art is certainly cool, but I always want to see more art for Teferi's Puzzle Box.
And that stopped them before to reprint something they've already printed in Secret Lair.
Absolutely.
I'm looking at you, Basic Lands.
And then the next one actually really works well in Cody because it's Inevitable Betrayal. Look, I've already talked about how I'm a thief. It is the no mana cost. Suspend 3 for 1 and 2 blue. Search target opponent's library for a creature card and put that card onto the battlefield under your control. Then that player shuffles. This could have been also bribery, but Inevitable Betrayal is so intrinsic to who I am as a Magic player. It felt right to put that into the Secret Lair. I also wanted Clever Impersonator, because if I'm not thieving, I'm cloning. And Clever Impersonator, in my opinion, has the best clone effect in all of Magic. It gets to copy any permanent on the battlefield that isn't a land. 100% every single time, best clone. Even if it's not hitting a land, it's hitting every single thing else. Editor's note. I forgot Mythos of Aluna exists.
Fair enough.
Jinx.
Alrighty. Wow, thanks. So for my cards, I had in mind just being a meme, and I wanted to put together a list of cards that could be put side by side, like what they did in Lord of the Rings, and it makes artwork.
Sure, like one of those background scene.
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
So to start with, we have Krark the Thumbless. This is my favorite card in all of Magic. If you don't know, it's a 2-drop wizard goblin that says every time you cast an instant or sorcery spell, flip a coin. If you win the flip, you duplicate the spell and choose new targets. If you lose the flip, you return the spell back to your hand. He would be the mainstay of the deck. Then we have the Reaver Cleaver.
Reaver Cleaver.
Yeah, this is a wonderful red artifact that gives the creature +1/+1 and trample.
That's not so bad.
Not so bad. And then when you deal combat damage, I think to a player or planeswalker, you make that many treasure tokens.
That's real bad.
To the planes. I forgot about the planeswalker bit.
I did as well. I had to double check. Next up would be Krark's Thumb.
You gotta have
See where
Krark's
this is
thumb
going.
along with the thumb.
Mm-hmm. And then the fourth and final card is Krark's Other Thumb.
Both 5 cards?
You get a bonus.
Oh yeah, I know I get a bonus, but I'm talking for the specific trail of artwork. It's only the 4.
Okay.
Because the last card they would never do this, but if I had the choice, it would be Deflecting Swat, and it would just be Krark backhanding a spell after losing one of his thumbs.
I can see them putting Deflecting Swatter into Secret Lair at some point.
But it would be just hilarious to have the string of artwork and just the Deflecting Swat. Krark now bleeding from the hand, just backhanding the snot out of a smell, just being like, get out of here.
Now that I don't know if they would do. I feel like they've been a lot more conservative with the artwork as of late, as far as not getting as gory or aggressive as they did in past.
I think it depends on the style because Wizard of Barge, you can be a little bit more gory because of how the art style is. And I think you can do a little bit more with that if you want to make it more gory.
I wouldn't want blood all over the cards as far as the artwork. Just like the indication that his thumbs got chopped off and then he's backhanding a spell.
I mean, I understand that, but like, look at Ad Nauseum. The artwork on that, like the
Yes, the little
the
talons.
constant obsession of writing down the symbol on paper over and over, hundreds of yards of stacks next to him of this paper, the same logo, the skin coming off of his back for being hunched over him so long, the eyes being forced open, like the writing utensils attached to the arms that are like getting worn down because he won't stop, and just like the obsession. There's no way that gets put on a card today.
Writing down a symbol ad nauseum.
Exactly. It's appropriate, but like that is such a brutal artwork. I just don't think that they would do it again.
I think that they will. It's just depending on the themes and settings of it. I think that's where it mainly goes because murder mystery usually don't see the gore with the murder mystery. So we didn't see a lot of that in Murders at Karlov Manor. But at the horror house that's coming up, if I don't see some gore from that, I'm going to be like, what's going on? You said this was supposed to be 80s movie, and 80s movie was gory.
Also, this is like what I'm describing at the least. I wouldn't want there to be too much gore. It is just taking off a guy's thumbs. It's not that gory.
I could see the nice little trail of flip from the blood as the thumb
Oh
is
my gosh. It would be so hilarious if it looked like he was flipping a coin, and on the card with the thumbs, they both have one has a coin, one has a die.
But we all know what the secret 6th card of our secret lair would be.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Thought Vessel.
Uh-huh.
Undisputed.
If I got to design an artwork for the Thought Vessel, what would you guys put on the artwork? What do you envision as a thought, like a vessel of thought?
The opening of a human brain.
Bit extreme, but sure.
I think mine would be kind of like somebody opening like a very like tattered box with like a pocket universe in it or something like that.
That's a neat one. Weirdly enough, mine's the weirdest, I'd say. I think of an actual like vessel, a thing you ride. So
yeah, we haven't had like a boat for the Thought Vessel.
Like,
We've
I
had
would-
a lot of different ones.
I would like to see like a boat just with the name on it, and it's just somebody sailing on it in the picture.
That is fair.
It's
I'm
just a boat with the name Thought.
THOT.
Gentlemen, we ride to that hoe over there.
I think it would be
Beautiful.
interesting if it was like a boat and it's got a bunch of scientists on it. In the artwork, you just see like they're holding parchments trying to like find something.
I think it'd be cool.
Honestly, I could see that in the Fallout set
That'd be cool.
because they had like the airships and a whole bunch of the Institute as well.
Now, one definitely kind of on my bucket list at some point is as we continue to do this, and they keep like Thought Vessel is a card that gets reprinted a lot, and especially in all these extended, universe beyonds, the original art doesn't really match the theme of what they're doing. So we're getting a lot of like reprints or new arts for it. I kind of want to keep going and buying more artist proofs of the various Thought Vessels as they come out, and just kind of have a collection of every single one as they go through existence. I have the one from RK Post, had him sign it. It's beautiful, but it'd be nice to get the ones from Dungeons and Dragons, or if there was one from Lord of the Rings, or any of them as we go through the process. I think it'd be really neat.
And then if we continue to proceed into the distant future, years from now, I would love that our Cornerstone office for the Thought Vessel show gets a bunch of the artworks just framed in the background of wherever we're at. Just the like kind of on our version of a homage to the history of Magic, is just as one of our basic cards just evolved in the history as it continued to go. I think that would be a wonderful little thing.
I think so too.
Just view all prints to see all 24 versions of Thought Vessel.
Though, to be fair,
there's the
some of
foil
them-
and
some are the
non-foil.
foils, yeah.
So I wouldn't I only care about the explicit art, and there's a lot of like different.
I was about to
It's
say,
the
there's a
same one
bunch
over
of
and over again.
duplicates.
Oh, there we go.
I was about to
But
say,
we
you
have
just
like the
you
1,
fo-
2, 3, 4,
It's like
5,
five.
6, 7.
Oh,
Yeah.
7 arcs.
7 of them.
So far, I love the astronaut helmet.
Yeah, the astronaut helmets.
It's really cool.
Oh, I haven't seen it. Can I see it?
Oh yeah, it was the Secret Lair one where it has like the black hole in the back of it,
Oh, snap.
right? For me, it didn't justify getting that Secret Lair. Like
Yeah.
that Secret Lair was like, it was very low value. You were just getting that for the art if you were
Yeah,
buying that
like,
Secret Lair.
I love that Thought Vessel, but when Thought Vessel is like a 50-cent card and that's like a $40 secret lair, I don't care how pretty it looks. Like at
Well,
that point,
yeah,
yeah,
because it was
you
like
can't justify it.
because it was like Thought Vessel, it was like Soul Ring, it was like Command Tower. It was a really low value Secret Lair.
Yeah, you buy one precon, you get all of them plus 97 other cards.
It's like that nonsense they try to do with basic lands.
I think they've stopped doing that.
Yeah, they gave up on that. I think They
Good,
tapped
because
out.
that's a bad idea.
I have seen them like run basic lands alongside like when they did the cats and dogs. They did like a cat or dog like basic land set in case you like wanted to have a dog swamp for your deck or whatever it might be.
Like even my lands that I love the most, which are crazy expensive comparatively, which are the oil slick basics, still worth less than a secret layer to get the same amount.
Because I know I liked the pixel art lands, and I'm glad that I was very selective with my land choices with the Secret Lairs. The pixel lands and the vaporware lands were like where I was going, as well as the Aquarius land, because I'm an Aquarius.
Yeah, I've had a discussion for another time about basic lands.
Yeah.
On to
Yeah.
the next subject.
Although, I'm gonna say
What
mine.
a segue.
I'm gonna say mine,
No.
sir.
Uh-uh.
But I am glad that my favorite, which is the Dominaria stained glass lands, are kind of coming down in price though, because I'm a sucker for stained glass. I loved the stained glass planeswalkers, and then we got the I believe that was the March of the Machine when they did all the legendaries with the stained glass variants and stuff. Really, really cool. I definitely like to collect those. So I'm glad to see those are starting to come down in price because I like to put as many of those in my decks as possible.
Now
Yeah.
that I'm thinking about it, I have to try and see how many more oil slicks I have. I got to get more,
I think we're on a good roll. Now it's a good time to segue.
I guess.
Segways.
All right. So we're gonna
Jinx.
move on to our draft today. The draft we're going to be doing is commanders, or rather, not legendary creatures we wish were legendary to be our commanders. For this draft, we're going to be having an order with Jacoby. You're going to be starting us off. I'm going to be going second. Joe, you're going third because last week you went first, but you get the fourth pick as well. I get fifth. Jacoby, you get sixth. Snake draft back and forth as usual. 4 rounds.
Not every week can be my birthday.
Yeah, if it was, you'd be like a gajillion by now.
Yeah, seriously.
All right. So, Jacoby, you are on the clock here with your first pick. What are you doing?
All right. For the first pick, I'm just going to go nitty and gritty. We're going to pick Consuming Aberration.
Consuming Aberration, what does that do?
It's a 5-drop star horror. Consuming Aberration's power and toughness are equal to the number of cards in all of your opponent's graveyards. When you cast a spell, each opponent reveals it from the top of their library until they reveal a land, and then put all of it in the graveyard.
Yeah.
It feels like a commander. It feels so good. I want it so bad, but it's definitely belongs to not be a legendary creature.
Yeah, because they had a actual legendary creature that had that effect multiplied, but had a different condition. Mirko Vosk.
I think it would be, I want it in the command zone only so that I can clone it a bunch of times and just keep doing it.
Disgusting.
Just
God, that's giving me flashbacks to that one game where you kept cloning Dreamborn Muse.
to be fair, yes. But to be fair, if it makes you feel any better, I could just clone it better as a not legendary creature and just go find it anyways, if that makes you feel any better.
I mean, yes, but the point is still the same. Too many of these bill effects.
When Mr. Chaos Clone Boy over here is telling you it's gross, it's gross.
I mean, totally get it, but like
There was a reason that I started putting Echo of Aeons and Commit to Memory in a lot of my blue decks. It's because of that.
I want to have 5 consuming aberrations in the field, and I just want to cast Ponder.
No.
It would be so funny.
Disgusting. Hate it.
It consumes your brain as I think about it.
All right, so consuming aberration, pick 101. Mine at number 2 here. This is a creature that I've seen been ruled zeroed before, just for the creature type it is. A lot of people want to be able to use this particular creature type, which is more color options, and that is Maelstrom Archangel. And I knew for a fact that I would not get it if I waited for Joe to pick twice. So Maelstrom Archangel is, or Archangel, it is a 5/5 flyer for Wooburg. When deals combat damage to a player, you may put a non-land card from your hand into play without paying its mana cost.
Let me just take that off my list.
So a lot of people really like doing, kind of the Wooburg Angel thing. So just drawing a bunch of cards, kind of free, cheaping, putting in like Avis and stuff like that would be very, very fun. Kind of Angel, typo, commander. I'm all about it.
Absolutely. At least for my next pick. My next pick, I made sure to get this beforehand and getting a nice cycle of creatures. These were the creatures that you used before they actually invented the 4-color legendaries. I'm choosing the Nephilim.
I probably was going to pick that with my second pick if I knew that if you would have gone first or something, that probably would have been mine.
The Nephilim were the 4-color commanders of choice. And
hard rule 0.
Yeah, hard rule 0. The one that I love the most is the Ink Treader Nephilim, which is the Sans Black one that says whenever a player plays an instant or sorcery spell, if it is the only target of that spell, you copy that spell for each other creature that spell could target, and then each copy targets a different one of those creatures.
I'm so shocked they weren't legendary every time I read them. I'm looking at them like, how are you not? And I think for each of them, all of the 4-color combos are named after the Nephilim, aren't they?
It's either that or they just say not color. Sans black, sans red, sans white.
Like, come on, you named the combination after that Nephilim. Just let it be a legendary.
There's a lot of people that petition with Wizards and like, look, these cards aren't getting played in any formats that it would matter. We like having these 4-color options. Just make them legendary with an errata. Like, there's a lot of people out there that are really trying to push for it.
Yeah, like the Reflector Mage Secret Lair, where they were like, oh yeah, let's take this normal card and accidentally make it legendary.
If that petition made its way to our shop, I would probably sign it too.
And no one's going to bother with, like, none of these are like super overpowered cards where like, I'm going to have a problem if you're rule 0 in this in.
I think at this point, because it's gone on for so long, they would just have a new cycle. Do everything like generally the same and then just change the name.
Like, they probably change the name, tweak the wording to be more current, and that'd be like their fix.
Friendly.
Yeah, their quote unquote fix.
I mean, do you know how cool it would be if like we did another like 4-color Planeswalker cycle? And this was just like they were just the secondary commanders in each of the sets, but like just like a little bit like more power crap to keep up with, like since they came out last time.
Technically, they are still pretty strong.
They are, but like just having them in there and like you didn't tell anybody, and they just open up like, holy smokes, what is this? Like just hard, make sure it does not get spoiled. That'd be amazing.
For my second pick going into round 2,
because you get to do that after picking 4 or 5, you greedy bastard.
I know, right? I made sure it was
no,
fine
it's fair.
first.
It's fair. I said you could do it.
Go for it.
So, of course, I got to pick a Wooburg. You chose like one of the obvious choices. The one that actually just recently came out that I would rather choose is Two-Headed Hellkite. It came out of the Wooburg precon of Dominaria United, and it is a 1 and Wooburg 5/5 dragon, flying menace haste, and whenever it attacks, draw 2 cards. That in and of itself is just golden. It's a good power and toughness for the rate. It has really good keywords, draws you cards, and then you have all of the colors at your disposal. That's just Wooburg good stuff right there. Without being, oh, I see you're being a problem in the command zone.
That's very fair.
Yeah, because it's not like Garth. People see Garth and they're just like, oh, you're going to be a problem. You see this. It's like, okay, I could see the value there. I don't know what you're doing, but you got value.
All right, looks like it is back to me. This is a card that I feel like if it actually could be in the command zone, would get the card straight up banned. But for the time being, it is not as big of an issue. But if you consistently had it every single game, I think it would be. And that is Circle of Dreams Druid, aka Gaia's Cradle on a stick. So it is a triple green elf creature that says it taps for 1 green mana for each creature you control. So just play a good old-fashioned green, bunch of tokens, big stuff pile, get a bunch of mana, play more disgusting green stuff, and just have a good old time.
And it certainly sounds like a quote-unquote better Selvala. The only downside is that you're not drawing cards.
Yeah, it's like I guess like a go wide Selvala. That's the way I would say it.
Yeah, not a go tall, but a go wide.
But I mean, could you imagine like playing an Avengers End card and then tapping for like 8 mana?
Ugh.
Grody.
All right, Jacoby, you're up.
So for my next pick, most of my next picks are going to be kind of like meh for most of these. They're not going to be like overly powerful. We're going to go with Righteous Valkyrie. Righteous Valkyrie is a 3-drop angel cleric that is a 2/4. Has flying. Whenever another angel or cleric enters the battlefield under your control, you gain life equal to that creature's toughness. Then, as long as you have at least 7 more life than your starting total, your creatures get 2/2. It's not overly great. It's not super like, oh, but like, it's fun. It's an interesting little thing. If it were in your command zone, it'd be like, people would look at it and be like, that's pretty good, but not, oh my God, it's so good. Would not get you blown out of the water because you wanted to be fun. And you could build mono white clerics. That'd be hilarious.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, that could be fun.
Then next up, because I get my third choice now.
Yeah.
I don't know if either of you could guess what this one is. It's another angel. We're gonna go Guardian of the Gateless.
Oh,
you mean the thing that you were like,
Oh, I want it to be a commander so bad. Oh, I want it to be a commander so bad. It's a 5-drop 4 and a white angel for a 3/3 flyer that can block any number of creatures. And then it gets a +1/+1 for each creature it's blocking. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Just let me play it in the zone. I want to block everything.
You're right. That was meh.
Dude, it's so beautiful. I love that card so much. If I could make it the head of a deck, I would. 110%.
I mean, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah, definitely not going to stop you.
Oh my gosh. Do I need to go to the shop and like write down, be like, hey, can I rule 0 this as a commander? Because I'll do it.
No one's going to care.
Oh my gosh.
Go forth. Go forth and block all the creatures. I'm going to be over here with Thoracle.
I'm going to have my white counter spells. Fear not. It's just a matter of time.
All right, so I'm back on the clock here. For my next pick here, I think mine's a Gruul creature, and I think this would become the grueliest Gruul deck of all time, and it is Quartzwood Crasher.
Huh.
So Quartzwood Crasher, not a legendary. It is 2 red and a green for 5 total. It is a 6/6 trampling dinosaur beast. Whenever one or more creatures you control with trample deal combat damage to a player, create an XX green dinosaur beast creature token with trample, where X is the amount of damage those creatures dealt to that player.
It was, in fact, that card that I was thinking of. That is, in fact, the trample typal deck of the ages. What's that? Anything that has trample on it going in there?
And you can put in, vigor in there, and you can do a lot of like Rhythm of the Wild stuff, so it has haste. It's a lot of big creatures, a lot of support. You're in Gruul. You can be big and fast.
You can use that one Gruul creature from Ikoria that says, hey, any creature with trample gets to assign their damage like they weren't blocked.
There's a lot of really disgusting stuff you can do that I think that'd be a super fun deck. I don't think it would necessarily be a 2/1, but like from a Gruul standpoint of just like turning stuff sideways and just don't think the true barbarian way, that's right up there. That's elite.
I mean, now it falls to me for my third choice. And my third choice just recently got in Secret Lair that people kind of downplayed because it was not the best value. But this one, I would love to see as a legendary creature. It's Prince of Thralls. 4 blue, 2 black, and red. Whenever a permanent an opponent controls is put into a graveyard, put that card into play under your control unless that opponent pays 3. You do that enough times, oh boy, my thieving heart be still.
I hope so.
Fucking ow.
You said it, not me, man.
It is a 7/7, so it's hitting that real old school commander range where hit it 3 times, you kill. Its cost is 7, so if you're playing that deck, you're playing like how the Lord Xander deck was. People are going to see that coming from a mile away. But that effect on a card is still real fun and very easy to avoid because it's just paying your taxes. Pay your taxes. You don't want the government to repossess your permanent, just pay your taxes.
Yes, as the government stabs me in the back and says, "Why didn't you pay taxes for that?"
Correct.
Joe.
Look, sometimes you got to repossess something. That being said, now I'm going into different mindset, a more competitive mindset for my 4th choice, because I'm choosing Witherbloom Apprentice. Turbo, I'm going to discard my hand as many times as it takes for you all to die. For anyone who doesn't know, Witherbloom Apprentice is a black and a green for a human druid 2/2. It has Magecraft, so whenever you cast or copy an instant or sorcery spell, each opponent loses 1 life and you gain 1 life. This combos with Chain of Smog, which you target yourself with it to discard 2 cards. And for the person who was targeted with it, they can copy it and choose new targets for the ability. The A plus B is you just keep targeting yourself because even if you have no more cards to discard, you can continue to target yourself and have the spell resolve to just kill the table. It's a popular strategy in CDH, and having it be a commander may have it be banned, but also there's a whole bunch of other cards that are quote-unquote ban-worthy. Kenan.
That's very fair. That is very fair. All right, so I'm at my last pick here. There's a lot of creatures that I did not expect to make it down to this point, so I'm really conflicted of how I want to go about this here. I think there is some very obvious ones that a lot of people are probably screaming at their probably car radio or wherever you're listening to this right now. Whether you're at work, speaking of which, hi Brian, hoping you're having a good day, and just trying to see exactly what the best route to go is. I think I'm going to go with the card that I think would be the most interesting of all of this. Like there's some that are going to be blatantly powerful, I think would just get banned outright, which if they don't get picked by Jacob here, I'll probably just mention the honorable mentions here. But I think Ancient Copper Dragon would be my next pick, because Ancient Copper Dragon, you're putting that extremely powerful D20 roll in your command zone. It's a 7-drop creature where it's got a high volatility of maybe I'm going to connect with somebody and I'm going to get like 2 treasures. Maybe I connect with somebody, I get 20, and then I just play a whole bunch of dragons and a bunch of, mono red nonsense. You're just not going to know what's going to happen. And I think that in the command zone could be really, really cool.
Especially if you do that with like the Facebreaker. Just also funnel some of those treasures into drawing so you can then cast stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in and of itself, 6-drop creature. So it's, the 4 and 2 red, flying, and it's a 6/5 flyer. So it's not going to 3-shot hit anybody. But I think just having that variety in your command zone, I think it'd be cool.
Plus, you'd also have the red effects to just get extra combats and get even more nuts.
Oh yeah, I mean, it can definitely if you're lucky, or just not unlucky, you're gonna get some like relentless assault kind of loops going and stuff like that.
The aggravated assault
loops going and stuff like that. But I think it'd be fun. No one's gonna let me rule 0 that. But
nope,
it's all good.
That's fair. For my last pick, I had to pick between 2. I think I'm going to go with this one just because conceptually of the 2, this one I find more funny. Wandering Archaic. I think it would be hilarious to just be there, sit back on a neutral setting and just be like, I play Wandering Archaic, pass. And then everyone else gets to cast all their fun little ramp spells and their removal spells. And I'm just like, can I have one too, sir? Please, sir. Give me a removal spell.
Please, sir. May I have an instant or sorcery?
Yeah.
That's a card that really fell off the face of the earth there for a while. I remember people were playing that all the time, and then
it's still well played in CDH.
I just haven't seen it a lot, really.
I still play it in a lot of decks. I love this card.
When it fits my restrictions, I play it in decks.
I haven't seen it played in probably like 2-3 months.
That being said, though, I play stuff like Quirk. I like to fiddle around and go, oh no, instants and sorceries, let's do XYZ rather than just let it happen. And the backside, the sorcery on it's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Everyone gets to look at the top 5 of their library, reveal a land or an instant or sorcery from among them, and put it into look at the top 5, reveal a land, instant, or sorcery that they saw this way, and put it in their hand and shovel the rest in the bottom. Everyone gains 3 life. Pretty great.
It's a great group hug card.
So there's a bit
and then the front is just like, oh hey, I see that we were playing as a group. Give.
Yeah, it's literally just, okay, group card. Then go to the late end of the game playing Wandering. Please, sir, let me have your spells.
All right. So just a recap of the draft here. Consuming Aberration, Righteous Valkyrie, Guarding the Gateless again, and Wandering Archaic for Jacoby. Maelstrom Archangel, Circle of Dreams Druid, Quartz Hood Trample Tribal, basically, and Ancient Copper Dragon were my 4. And Joe, you had your Nephilim Cycle, your 2-headed Hellkite, Prince of Thralls, and Witherbloom Apprentice.
That certainly sounds about right.
Was there any audible mentions?
So at least for me, I have to have some kind of cloning effect. So I actually wanted Progenitor Mimic.
Fair enough.
That'd be a good one.
4 green and blue. You may have it enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature, except it has at the beginning of your upkeep, if that creature isn't a token, create a token that's a copy of this creature.
Fair enough.
But with the legend rule, kill itself, because it'd be a legendary.
No, because any clone effect that has it change into something else will always take all of the abilities of the thing that is cloning. So you would put in a whole lot of things that are not legendary to then have it come in and clone that to then get more of those copies.
Long story short, the answer to Levi's question would be yes. The counter argument is you don't build the deck with legendary creatures.
You also look at all of your opponent's creatures as well, because it just says any creature.
I feel like a lot of the really good stuff these days they made legendary, at least for that time period when they were really trying to play the field for Commander, so everything was like Commander eligible.
Yeah, and I think that's why some of the effects that they've put in are trying to quote unquote negate it a bit. And they're releasing those very limited. Yes, people complain that, well, why did you make all of these legendaries? And there's like, yes, we understand. We just thought it would be too powerful. So here's some things that say it doesn't follow the legend rule, but they are very limited. Where the other legendary creatures, they're still pumping those out like hotcakes.
Although it's a dangerous precedent to start making a bunch of clones that ignore the legendary rule, because there's certain things that, power level perspective, do not need to be cloned on a consistent basis without putting in a lot of extra effort.
And that's why a lot of those are usually in blue. And I think only 3 exist that do that in blue.
Oh, there's more than that now.
Well, no, there are cards that say that you get to ignore the legendary rule, but there's like only 3 cards that say when you clone it, it loses legendary.
There's even more than that now.
If we're going to go over all the ways you can clone something without it dying to the legendary rule, we have at least 6, 7, 8 cards right now.
Which is still very small in the grand scheme of Magic.
Considering that it was like...
That's a 10th of your deck.
Well, as of a couple...
If you're saying 6 or 7, that's not a 10th.
I said 7, 8.
I heard 6, 7.
And then I said 8
after. 8 in there. But like even with that, 2-3 years ago, we had like the Sakashimas, and that was about it. So all these are new.
Let's see. If we don't...
Well, the Sakashima isn't necessarily removing the legendary thing. It is supplanting the name with Sakashima.
Well, I mean, and then we also had the...
and then the Thousand Days.
So we have Mirrorbox, Sakashima, and...
Mirrorbox doesn't clone. When I'm saying that, I'm thinking of like...
Let me finish my sentence, please. We have Mirrorbox, Sakashima, and then the older mirror thing, I don't remember what it's called, that all specifically... Mirror Hole, thank you. That all refer to ignoring the legendary rule. And then we have the clones that disregard it via either this isn't legendary or this is named something else, which is like Spark doubling Sakashima and one other card, right?
The ones that I was thinking of was Spark Double, Irenicus's Vile Duplication, and the one that recently just was created in Doctor Who.
3 in Doctor Who. We got the Rebound spell. That's a 5-drop.
Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of.
The Auton Soldier gets around legendary.
Actually, yeah, it does.
Really?
Yes,
because if you myriad it and it's a legendary creature, they all die.
pretty sure it says
It does,
this
because
is
I
a
just put it
non-
into the Malcolm deck, and it's really, really good.
I believe it specifically says it is a non-legendary artifact creature in addition to its other types. So let's double
yes,
check.
that is in fact correct. Except it isn't legendary and it is an artifact in addition to its other types and has myriad.
And
Okay.
that 2-drop
Oxford,
one,
comma.
that 2-drop one with the vanishing might also be in that case, but it's still like we're getting like a lot more.
That's I was about to say that's 2 more than
But the
I
vanishing
knew.
doesn't have the drops to legendary. It just has vanishing.
But just we're getting like a alarming increase in frequency of these.
So with the ones that I didn't think about, which was I wasn't considering the vile duplication because I was considering just creatures that had the text. That's more like 10, maybe 11 that we can put in a deck that disregards the whole legendary shtick. Like as a problem as a whole.
And I believe double major says it ignores
Double
legendary
major
rule.
specifically ignores it. There are the Sakashimas. There's
Let me
the
do
2 mirrors.
The Oracle
Yeah.
isn't legendary.
So moral of the story, terrifying. Was there any honorable mentions on this list that you were
That
really
was my-
considering?
That was my honorable mention.
It was.
Yeah.
I had Master Biomancer.
That'd be a fun one.
Speaking of violating legendary.
Yeah. Honorable
That's
mention
fine.
of Master Biomancer.
All of-
Just get counters equal to how big it is.
Oh, that was the other one. There was a different one. I was thinking of the one that you had to have 4 copies of it.
Biovisionary.
Biovisionary.
That one's really gross. A couple of mine that I really wanted to do. One of them we kind of honorarily gave a name, and that's Gary or Gray Merchant of Asphodel. Having that in your command zone. I know we do it in Pop or EDH, but that having that Devotion to Black in the command zone, that'd be really cool. There's obviously the disgusting ones you could do, like Sarah's Ascendant, Dockside Extortionist, stuff like that. Terror of the Peaks would be really interesting. Having that kind of a effect in your command zone of whenever a creature comes into play, it deals that damage equal to its power to any target. That could be interesting to have in the command zone. And then we brought it up as well, Professional Facebreaker. I think kind of building a red go wide strategy that can make a bunch of treasure tokens and you can exploit them for extra card advantage in a color that normally doesn't get a lot of card advantage would be really interesting as well.
Very fair, very fair.
All right. Was anyone have any final comments before we say goodbye today?
All right, let's see. We have Auton Soldier, Double Major, Helm of the Host, Irenicus's Vile Duplication, Miram Sentinel Worm for Dragon specifically. Nanogene Conversion has everything become a copy of a creature you control until end of turn that isn't legendary, but that's like the Azorius card that does the non-legendary thing.
Sure.
You have Quantum Misalignment, Spark Double, Storm of Saruman, the Sixth Doctor, Yenna Redtooth Regent. And okay, The Apprentice's Folly as well, because it's a saga that has the thing that creates a token that does the same thing.
And then we got the Sakashimas in there.
Yeah,
So we're at 14.
That's 14. So almost double my original statement. Way, way more than we thought.
Yes, but some of those were very specific, and some of them.
But I mean, still,
Really?
even if you remove 5 of the more niche ones, we're still at like 9.
Yes, but there's also, except for like 1 and 2, you have to have blue, bar none.
Well, I mean, blue's a cloning color.
So say it's the whole thing about being clothes is you had to be blue, but that's kind of an arbitrary statement because at that point you could make that argument for any effect in Magic, like, oh, you just have to have this color.
Again, that's the limiting point, is that you can't do this outside of blue normally, which is why the only notable exceptions that I had was like Helm of the Host and Yenna Redtooth Regent, the one that recently came out in.
Did we add
Throne of
Helm of the
Eldraine.
Host to that list we just said?
I mean, it's an equipment, so.
Did you add it to that list though?
I said it. I said
No,
it.
I'm talking about his list.
Oh,
I said. I literally
because
just
you said that was
yeah,
14.
yeah,
you
because
added,
he listed it off. Yeah, we're
okay,
good.
good.
So that was in fact part of that list.
I had to make sure because it was going, oh,
yeah.
great. Do I hear 16? Because that makes 15. But no.
You went. Hold on. What? Where's the second one?
No, he said 14.
Yeah, and then you went
I said-
16.
I said if he didn't add that to the list, that is 15. I said we could, never mind.
Joe, cut all this.
No.
You're being dickheaded with me right now.
All right. So, any other last comments before we say goodbye today?
Joe, no, I'm just kidding.
Jacob.
No, last comment. We're going to cut this part anyways. It doesn't matter.
No, it's all stated.
No, I guess so. For those listening, understand Joe is giving me a heart. I am giving him 1 back, but he has to combine with me for it. We're Transformers now.
Oh boy.
Not that kind of trans, you freaking turd.
What?
Go support the Trans Lifeline. They're a great charity.
All right.
Listen, he said horny sigh. I'm just saying there's only one conclusion I'm going to make.
All right. You've been listening to The Thought Vessel. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good week. We'll see you next time.
Take care. Bye.